I just wanted to do a quick video about something which I think is technically quite fundamental, but I've certainly overlooked in the past in my own playing, and perhaps you might be the same, which is to do with basically left-hand timing. So we often think about the right hand when it comes to rhythm. I suppose that's because as a guitarist we're often coming from the background of rhythm guitar, so we're used to holding down a chord shape and maybe, you know, or strumming, I guess. Now of course with rhythm guitar, like funk rhythm guitar and jazz rhythm guitar as well, the muting is quite an important part of that with the left hand. You're also playing rhythmically with the left hand as well. So perhaps the idea is not completely alien, that there is a rhythmic aspect of the left hand, but I think often, you know, think as folk players, folk chord players originally, strummy players, that the rhythm comes from the right hand, but the truth is the rhythm comes from both hands. So with that in mind, I mean, this is an exercise which I certainly didn't originate. I've seen it in a Legato masterclass video, for instance, and I think classical players sometimes practice things like this. It also relates to a Kurt Rosenwinkel clinic that's online, where he talks about the nature of legato on the guitar, and for him it's making sure there's no space between the notes, which makes sense. You know, the notes have to be completely connected. But you know, it's something that has come up so much in my playing, and every time I go, oh, why's my playing not working? Oh, it sounds a bit out of time. Oh, it's a little bit rushy. Oh, I'm not quite hitting all the notes in order. Then I find that just doing, you know, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of this kind of practice radically improves my playing, radically warms me up. And so perhaps this video is to remind myself of that as much as anything else, but if it also helps you, that's super. So an obvious thing to start off with would be a scale. So we could do a C major scale. Let's go up to the 7th and back. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, like that. So this is obviously what I'm doing here is just hammering on the notes. Very simple. Okay, so in general I find the slower I do this, the harder it is. So I'm going to put the metronome on the 2 and 4 at 120. 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you can hear how out of time that was, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Actually counting 60 beats a minute here, aren't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so counting with it can help you keep it more in time, but that feels quite alien, right? Let's go slower. 1, 1. Sorry, right note would help. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, that's out of time. 2, that note. 1, that A was out of time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so hopefully I made my point there. That's hard for me to do. I'm not 100% accurate at that, you know. I could probably improve a lot. But I find just by doing like that, improves the smoothness of my playing when I actually play. Or if we do it Barry Harris way. Now the interesting thing about that is I feel like I'm absolutely articulating the other hand, like massively, exaggeratedly. Wasn't very accurate. Obviously, the faster you go, the more that accuracy is required, right? So if you can play very slow and very accurately, or I'm not sure how smooth that is, but it's like the smoothness helps you speed it up, right? Because the movement is happening at the same speed. This is the point that Kurt Rosenwinkel makes in his class. So that exercise is relatively simple, the scales, but of course it becomes much more difficult when we have things like the A minor scale, and the reason for that is because you have these adjacent notes on the same frets. Now if I hop my finger over, there's a limit to how quickly I can do that, so there's always a little gap between those two notes. So most players adopt one of two solutions, other than, you know, strange string skipping stretch voice fingerings, which I can't really be bothered with. Some people do that. Jens, I think, does it. Jens Larsen. Okay, so this is using separate fingers. The other alternative would be using a barre like that and sort of rolling the barre so to make sure that the notes don't sound. This is the way that a lot of shred players do it, and gypsy jazzers as well when they want to play very fast. The problem for our exercise is while I can do that, I can't really do this. Mario Lund in his video suggests that it gives you less control, and I'm inclined to agree. So right, and at this point it's probably worth pointing out that I'm not trying to fret very hard. I'm not trying to slam my fingers down like this. I'm not trying to be like, you know, I'm not trying to play the guitar like this. I'm not trying to be like Stanley Jordan or Alan Holdsworth or somebody and play it all with hammer-ons. Rather, it's that I'm trying just to make sure that my fretting is accurate, both in the right place and at the right time. In crotchets again, or quarter notes. That's hardest in, yeah, it's the slower you go, the harder it is. Okay, the fourths are very difficult, so there's this kind of a phrase, and something I was looking at recently. So, that's what it's a C sus4 arpeggio, isn't it, I guess. So that's difficult for, I think, of a fingering solution. What I've come up with is this: 4, 2, 1, 2, 4, 2, 1, 2. That's funny movement, that. Might be very awkward, but I can articulate it like this, see? Yeah? So that's another way of doing it. Sorry. But then it sounds smooth when I play it like that, I think. So obviously the where you move on to from there is to play bebop heads and lines and things. Oh, sorry. So I'm hitting quite a few open strings there. Again, if you don't do that, it's better. So can't emphasize enough what I'm working on here is accuracy, not like hammering on hard. This is not an exercise in left-hand legato, it's an exercise in accuracy of fretting and timing. So this is pretty bad, isn't it? Can't remember how it goes now. Where are we going from? So the corner that we're having trouble with. Okay, so then when you pick it, sorry. entirely in time, so you can practice it with that hammering thing in time. Oh, sorry. Wow. Slide that first finger down. Yeah. So hit that. Yeah. So. Yeah, so, you know, in solving these fingering problems, it's kind of interesting, like how much you feel like you're articulating the playing in your other hand. This is how it feels to me. Yeah, but it's nice. It feels nice when you get into it, you know, and I think it makes for that very flowing sound, which I really associate, particularly with the more recent guitar players. But I think it's a sort of objective for all of us, really, to sound more legato on the instrument. Anyway, I hope you find that useful. Thanks for watching. Leave any comments below.